Hey there everyone, welcome, and today, if you notice a bit of a theme, I didn't intend to get all Marvel characters, but comic book characters was what I was going for. And I should have grabbed some of the DC guys, but oh well. You know what? There we go, just to make it even. We'll throw Hal Jordan in there. Okay, it's not even, but still. Alright, so if you notice the theme, superhero, comic books. Because Diamond has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Initially I was indifferent. Now I'm mixed feelings about it. And, you know, let me take you to the Wayback Machine. Let's talk about... In fact, I owned a comic book shop at one point. It was about 2003. My father had passed away. Turned out he had a pretty good life insurance policy. So I thought, you know, it's not a whole lot, but I could probably open a comic shop with this. Now, to my credit, I did keep it open for 3 years. However, a lot of factors caused it to lose money. Retail space was way too expensive at that time. It always is. It will perpetually be too expensive. You know, I had some people working against me that I won't talk about. I had some issues with distribution directly related to Diamond. They had a monopoly on comic books at the time. Comic books were still pretty good, but not what you could hold the back of a store on. It was more like, you know, most places I knew of had some supplementary thing. Usually in the realm of gaming, like Dungeons and Dragons, but there were other gaming. There were other options too. I did gaming, vintage, mostly vintage toys, and comic books. Now, the vintage toy market was not as strong as it is now. You could make a little bit of money off of vintage toys, but most of the time it was a iffy proposition. G.I. Joes tended to sell well if they were at least mostly complete. You could get away with selling some incomplete Joes, but you had to bring the prices way down, etc., etc., etc. Now, the big things on toys then was Marvel Legends, of course. Anything Toy Biz touched was gold. I never will forget getting a couple of cases of Marvel Legends, and there was a variant translucent Vision in the set, and I sold that thing for like, I mean, Marvel Legends going for like $10 at the time, I think, and I sold it for like $60 on eBay, both of them. I thought that was so awesome. It really actually paid for the cases of Marvel Legends. It was a really good day. It was one of the best days I had. You know, and I didn't do much eBaying, but I would do it just to move product, like stuff that wasn't, you know, stuff that wasn't moving. And the toy market around here, where I live, was very fickle at the time. You'd occasionally, like, it seemed like every DC Direct wave, you would end up with that one figure. That one figure would sell out, the others would kind of trickle out, and then there would be one figure you could never get rid of. So yeah, but how does this really... Okay, so Diamond will tell you, okay, this is going to come out this month. Well, then they just send it months early, and then you had to pay for it. That was the thing, you know, and it got very difficult to keep up with the shipments, to say the least. You almost couldn't keep up with them. And reordering stuff, it was a hit and miss. Like, I seem to remember the first issue of Green Lantern Rebirth, it just sold out immediately. I tried to order more, couldn't. The funny part is, of course, is by the 6th issue, nobody's buying it. You know, Okay, we don't like the end of the story. But yeah, and they had a stranglehold on the comic industry. And basically, if you dealt with them, you would be lucky to get 20% off your books. I mean, you had to really, really, really buy a lot of product. And your first year is terrible. You can't get above that 20%. Well, 20% on most things. There was a couple that was 35, but yeah, which sounds good, but when you start thinking about it, that's bad math. Eventually you could work your way up to being almost 50%, but you had to be buying almost $1,000 worth of product from one company to get that high. And yeah, I didn't have that kind of sales. And your trade didn't count towards it. It was, yeah. You got the discount on the trade paperbacks, but the trade paperbacks did not count towards your total. Again, this is all Diamond. So, I hated their business model. I hated the way they did things. I hated the way they shipped things, because they would ship things. Sometimes it would arrive months early, sometimes it would arrive months late. And you'd just be sitting there going, why? And, people would be getting mad because you didn't get stuff. And people were getting mad because you're getting stuff early. And oh, God. It was a mess. It was a mess. Honestly, the best thing I ever did was close that shop because I felt so much better. I didn't have to deal with Diamond anymore. Honestly. Just Diamond. Now, keeping that in mind, I did do good on Marvel Legends. That was the Toy Biz days. Superhero Showdown actually sold out pretty good. Those surprisingly sold well. I occasionally do well with DC Direct. HeroClix was a hit and miss thing. It was pretty much at its height, but it was like, okay, this set would really sell really good, and then the next set would not, and it was like, why? And there was never a rhyme or reason for it. It just didn't. It was the craziest thing. And, another thing that happened was most of my business came from the one call center. Because that was where most people in that town worked. And that call center shut down. When that happened, I went under. That killed me because nobody gave a shit. It's not that nobody gave a shit. It's just that was my main market to sell with, and that shut me down. Because now, ironically, that same call center reopened 6 months later, but I didn't have the capital or the wherewithal to survive that 6 months. And I told Diamond I'm done, and they kept trying to charge me. They kept trying to send me packages and charge me for them, and I'm like, I told these guys I'm done. For months they were sending me stuff, and I was like, I didn't even accept it, didn't open it, nothing. I just say take it back because they know not to send me things. So, I'm not a fan of Diamond. I'm not. At the same time, it is a pretty big deal. Most action figure guys instantly thought, oh shit, Diamond Select, Marvel Select. That's a good point. It is a very good point. And Diamond and Marvel Select do some really awesome figures. I hope they get that Annihilus out. He's pretty damn late. So, I really need an Annihilus for my Marvels. And, he's just one of those villains that you gotta have somewhere. They did a great Juggernaut. They did a great Apocalypse. I'm just trying to think what I own. Red Hulk was awesome. Yeah, they did do some very awesome figures. But the thing on that is that for Diamond, that wasn't even a drop in the bucket for their stuff. It made it. Yeah, they sold, and and actually the profit margin on those weren't bad. But, they didn't sell out. They didn't, I mean, you'd occasionally get somebody come in, oh, yeah, I want that. And they buy it, that's how it went. And some of them just would not sell. It happened. The other toy line that I actually did well on, ironically, Family Guy. Can you imagine that? Family Guy? There was a Family Guy line, and it actually sold pretty well. I never understood that. But, oh well, that's beside the point. So what am I saying here? I mean, again, I got mixed feelings. I do wonder how the comic industry is going to work now, because I know there are now other distributors, but I don't know how that works. And really, individual comic sales were always dictated by Diamond. The single issues, the stuff we all, remember. But of course, those are $5 a piece, and it's like, ew! I don't want to spend that much for something that doesn't move me or make me feel good. So, again, what happens there? That's a good question. I know the trades, they got different distributors, and I'm sure that's where, the comic shop guys will go for their trades. Then again, I know a couple of comic shops that really actually rely on old comics and trades, and they get the trades through somewhere else. And they say they get a better profit margin out of it. And, maybe that's what's going to happen. Is, maybe the single issues are going to die, because I know of comic shops that do not order single issues anymore. And they're doing just fine. So, yeah, figure that out. Get it figured out. That'd get proof of life cicada. Anyway, ultimately, I can't say I'm very broken up about Diamond filing for bankruptcy. We know bankruptcy isn't the end, but it's not good when that happens. Then again, you never know. They might come back from it. I don't see how. I'm really surprised it took this long, because their business model is terrible, and I don't see how anybody made any money. There were times I really thought they were actively trying to shut my store down, because they would just put obstacles in my way that just made everything crazy. And I hated it. I really did. There's a lot of things on owning a comic shop I really loved. I hated Diamond. I hated them with a passion. And vintage toy collecting was not at the height that it is now. I mean, I really think, people call it the golden age. I don't think it's the golden age, but there was not all these toy stores floating around back in those days. You never saw toy stores. You saw comic shops that sold toys. You saw gaming shops that would sell toys related to games. You never saw toy shops. And now we see toy shops all the time. So, again, different different mode, different atmosphere, and, I think the vintage shops, I think the ones that are vintage and modern, I think they'll always be okay. Could be wrong about that. Don't know. I mean, then again, I can remember model train shops when I was a kid. They were everywhere. Everywhere. You can hardly find any anymore. They're all on the internet. So, yeah. More things change, the more they stay the same. But, yeah, I'm not too heartbroken about Diamond filing for bankruptcy, unlike other people. And, again, I got that first-hand knowledge of dealing with them, and it was never good. I was never happy with them. I said if there was an alternative, I would have took it. But back then, there wasn't. And there never will be. Yeah. And, I don't know if a new alternative is going to pop up out of all this. Maybe they do business better. But hey, honestly, I thought this would happen 10, 15 years ago. I really did. I'm surprised it took this long. But, you know, that's me. Again, that's my first-hand knowledge, so, right. Okay, that's kind of my thoughts on the Diamond Chapter 11. I just had to get it out there and just say it. It's just, you know, I gotta say, couldn't happen to a nicer company because they did it to themselves. And it took a long time, but it finally happened. So, there we are. Alright, don't forget to do YouTube stuff. Like, subscribe, comment. You guys take care, and we'll see you later.